Stephan Sterns early on was transported from Orange County, where he was locked up for one night. And this guy was the biggest puss. He was talking about being cold, and he was talking about a mattress and using toilet paper to sleep on. He sounds like the biggest and excuse me, ladies, I'm not saying this to be crude or rude. He sounds like the biggest pussy that is out there. The things that he was complaining to this corrections officer, and he was the transporting officer for Osceola County. Yeah. He went from Osceola to Orange to pick him up, knowing full well he had been charged with these 60 counts of lewd and lascivious molestation of Madeline Soto. Didn't know that her body wasn't recovered at that time, Paul, but he knew no corrections officer that goes and picks up somebody and transports them does not get the full printout of what his charges are. It's a security issue. You need to know who you're transporting, how dangerous this person is, what his charges are. It's part of security and safety. This guy talked to him like he was his best friend. And I had a real big problem with that, because I'm not saying to be mean and treat the guy like a subhuman, but you don't need to talk to him the way this guy was talking to him. I want to get your thoughts as a former inmate of when you saw that video, from the perspective that I'm presenting to you. Did you think it was appropriate that the guy was talking about classical music and cough drops and all that bullshit? What were your thoughts on that?
I know the exact video you're talking about, and I'll tell you now. Now, first of all, just to address just how big of a puss he is about that. He's such a puss, dude. You're complaining about your bed not being soft enough, your blanket not being thick enough, and your pillow not being feathery enough. Shut up, dude. I did 10 years for crimes that are nowhere near what you did, and I was sleeping on a metal bunk. I had to wad up my dirty clothes just to make a makeshift pillow. I got ate up by bed bugs. Every morning I'd pick up a bag of my chips that I paid for. There'd be a big hole in them with chips falling out because rats have eaten through them. And that's where you're at now, buddy. And you better get used to it, and you better suck it up. This is what happens when you do what you did. So you better get used to it and better quit complaining. But as far as the way this officer talked to him, I agree. He definitely didn't have to be that nice, and a lot of people were upset that he was that nice. I want to try to put myself in his mindset and in his shoes and understand why he was so cordial with him. I can only imagine that if I'm coming up with things for him to justify it, I imagine maybe he knows this is a high-profile guy. Maybe he doesn't want to even come close to mistreating him or having any type of ill will towards him to where that could affect the case in any way. I don't know if that's possible. That's more your area of expertise than mine, but maybe how he detaches himself. I know officers have to emotionally detach themselves from these things and not take that home with them. And because y'all guys see such awful things that affect you very much emotionally, maybe that's how he has to approach this situation, just to not take that home to his family with him and just all the way detach from that. But that's just my own assumptions. I don't know. But he definitely didn't have to be that nice to him, because this guy definitely doesn't deserve it.
He was way too nice, Paul. And I did hundreds, arguably. And my former coworker was just in the chat. I highlighted her. Amazing aunt. We worked together when I was in fugitive enforcement, and I picked up arguably thousands of inmates from different jurisdictions. And yes, I didn't treat them like subhumans. I treated them the way I'd want to be treated in the same circumstance. Hey, do you need something to drink for the ride? Because sometimes I'd have 2-hour rides. Do you want me to grab you a bag of chips or something for the ride? No. I'd even stop and let them smoke because I had 2 people with me, so it was like 3 of us. So we would actually let them get out with the chains on the legs and shackled in the front, and we'd let them smoke at like a rest area. We'd have state police come and back us up. So we would do stuff like that. But if the person was a monstrous murderer, and they didn't know he was a murderer, but they knew he was a child molester, they knew that he had all of these charges against him, that's where it made me really not feel good about it, because you don't want to have any problems with the guy. You want to just have like a smooth transaction. I want to get him from point A to point B.
But you could have just been silent. You could have just not talked silent.
Hey,
you didn't have to be mean. Yeah. You don't have to be so nice.
When he said, "You want me to turn the heat on?" I was okay with that, even though I was like this guy. I would have been like, "Hey, you want me to?" And I would have done that. But then that would have been it. I would have either slammed that thing closed or left it open just a little bit, and I wouldn't have had that conversation. But that's just me. I know that sheriff knew exactly what his charges were up until that point, and the murder charges didn't happen until that Friday. They were transporting him, I think, on Thursday, and then Friday they found her body. But let's just take a look at this.
You're now seeing Stephan Sterns for the very first time since he was arrested. He's the boyfriend of Maddie Soto's mother and the prime suspect in her murder.
Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie joins us live from the Alert Center tonight. So, Hannah, in the video, Sterns has a casual conversation with the deputy.
Yeah, Marlisa, the two talk about temperature inside the patrol.
I also want to point out to Kat, he knows that the body cam footage from the dashboard, he actually engages it when he gets in there. And then when he gets to the location at Osceola County Jail, there's reporters waiting there. And he does another thing that was he was either ordered to do it by his superiors or he just did it on his own. He backed out so the cameras couldn't get him again at Osceola County Jail and went into a gated sally port. And you see it in the reflection of this glass right here. On this part of the partition, you see the metal gate go up and he takes him in so the reporters can't get a visual of him. And that was another thing that I don't know if he was ordered to do that or if he did it on the fly, but he saw that they were waiting for him. He was backing in, and then there was like 5 or 6 reporters there, and he just got on the radio, came back in the car, and then talked to the control room and had them open up the sally port so he can get in there without having cameras stuck in his face. I would have been like, "Oh, you're going straight in. Get out. Just get out right here. Here we go."
Car, even which cough drops they like. This video was taken from inside the deputy's SUV as Sterns was being transported from the Orange County Jail to the Osceola County Jail. The 27-minute drive is quiet for the most part, but within the first few minutes, Sterns can be heard complaining about how hard it was to sleep in jail. Take a listen.
Regulate sleeping on bare metal. The first night I was on concrete floor with a roll of toilet paper for a blanket or a pad to sleep on for like 2 days. I think they were supposed to do something.
Now, what's important to point out.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Don't you know that this sheriff knows exactly what conditions are inside of jail?
It was. I saw this when it first came out, and I thought it was so funny that he was acting like he couldn't believe that that's how they treat inmates. When you know the whole time that's how it goes.
I would just be like, "Hey, dude, you're in jail. You're in jail, and
listen,
charges against you are pretty serious."
There's going to be a whole lot of requesting, a whole lot of begging, and a whole lot of asking, brother. You better get used to it. That's going to be the rest of your life, basically, most likely.